Hey folks, so what you're about to see is some work that I did on the vertical stabilizer fairing tip, and I've already talked about in the previous video, but this video has just some of the stuff that I left out and that I wanted to go ahead and show you the results, as well as me generally talking to the camera and hamming it up. So remember, this is back in time. I have an update on the wings. I have a delivery date now. Apparently, the soonest it will be delivered is January the 5th. So, 5 days. Woohoo! Anyway, here's the results of that fairing tip work.
Well, here you can see the finished product, and it's a little thicker on this side than it is on this side. And using this up here, you can see that that's because there's an ever so slight angle downward. And of course, that is making a liar out of me. This proves that it basically leveled itself out. So I should have used this before putting this stuff on. But other than that, it looks okay. Going to go through and pull the whole assembly off and then work on the inside now.
Like I said, way back in time. So here I'm going to take this thing off here, and you're going to see me pull all the trash and detritus and debris that I was stuffing in there underneath that piece of cardboard that I wrapped in tinfoil. That worked really, really well, and you can see in the video that I'm about to show exactly how well it came out.
Okay, so I've pulled it off of the assembly, and I've got it here out in the open, and you can see, I don't know if you can see, but it's just beautifully smooth. Of course, there's all this overhang right here, but I didn't do the taping and the folding over thing. I just laid it on here, got it super saturated, and let it do its drying, and this is great. In fact, I think it's perfect. Very flat, very strong. It's a little thicker on this side than it is on this side. And that's again because it was ever so slightly canted this way, and so the resin kind of went over this way during the night. Lesson learned, use your level to make sure that the target is level before you actually apply the resin. But other than that, this is awesome. This is perfect. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to do the inside now like I had done on the other pieces. It's going to take very little trimming, trim all this flashing off the outside and right across here, and then this piece is going to be excellent. So I'm supremely happy with this.
And I'll make the rest of this really quick. There's really not a lot else to see. Here in the beginning, I'm actually on a phone call. I have a business meeting, and I'm doing the inner resin work while on a business call. It's nice to be able to multitask. Thankfully, for that particular meeting, I only had to be there. I didn't actually have to participate. But the rest of it is just like everything else I've ever done. You see me do it a million times. Well, 4 times at this point. Mixing resin, pouring it in, getting everything positioned, cleaning up the piece before I do that, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's the same stuff. Nothing is really magical about it. This one came out, I think this is the best one so far. It came out beautifully just because of the preparation work of using that piece of cardboard with the aluminum over it and stuffing the trash down in there. I mean, it just came out beautifully. And then the whole folding over and not taping it down thing, that was obviously not required and probably ended up hurting more than anything because that folding over does cause the edges to kind of bulge a little bit. So, plus lots of test fittings. You see me going back and forth and doing test fittings on the plane itself. And I'm also spray painting the pieces because every once in a while I go over and I sand some off using the bright wheel. And then I paint it again just to make sure that it looks good and looks smooth and will look good once it finally has a paint. Of course, all that paint is going to come off before we send it to paint. But yeah, this worked out really nicely. And per one of the other comments, one of the other users on my YouTube channel mentioned was that I probably wasn't using enough resin. I agree. And to that end, I put a whole bunch of resin. And so, yeah, that worked really well. Like I said, the only real mistake I made was that the leveling, make sure your target is level before you apply the resin. It is a liquid, so it will auto level for you if you don't. So there we go. And that's all for this one. This one's really short, and I've got another one here probably very shortly. Thanks, guys.